2 runoff Senate races. This, Georgia, the world, the weight of the world is on your shoulders. We need you. Balance of power in the U.S. Senate is at stake. Make no mistake. Critical 2 Senate runoffs. Democrats up to their usual tricks. Now a group founded by Stacey Abrams under investigation tonight for trying to register out-of-state voters, ineligible voters, even apparently dead voters.
Hannity sounding off on the Georgia Senate runoff, says Georgia's Secretary of State investigates claims of liberal groups possibly breaking the law in order to beat the incumbent Republicans. Stephen Law is president of the Senate Leadership Fund. Stephen, great to have you on. We have at least 4 progressive groups being investigated for maybe 9 or 10 different violations. As you look at these violations, Stephen, do you see common denominators, or am I drawing conclusions too quickly and these are all disparate situations?
Well, this is of great concern. You know, I think when Chuck Schumer went out and said, when we take Georgia, we'll change the country, that was a dog whistle to every group in Georgia on the left that they should do whatever it takes to win these races, whether by fair means or foul. You know, Stacey Abrams basically made a career of saying there was voter suppression going on in Georgia with very scant evidence. And yet here we see that there's very credible evidence that these groups are breaking Georgia election law by trying to add more people to the rolls who aren't eligible to vote. And that's a great concern for anybody who cares about fair and honest elections in Georgia and across the country.
You talk about Stacey Abrams, and the New Georgia Project issued a statement. She founded that project. The candidate, Raphael Warnock, was the CEO of that project for the better part of 3 years. They responded by saying this, quoting here, "As Georgians are turning out in record numbers to have their voices heard at the polls, the Secretary of State is resorting to desperate attempts to smear law-abiding organizations and scare eligible Georgians from registering to vote in critical upcoming elections. We will not be deterred." What do you think?
Well, look, I mean, I think that's kind of boilerplate press release language. I think what the Secretary of State is doing here, he should be commended for. He's making sure that if you're eligible to vote, you can register, but if you're not, you shouldn't be on the rolls. Not only should Republicans be praising that, which they are, but so should Democrats and so should the rest of the media. I mean, I think it's really important that people have a high level of confidence in these elections and in who's to turn out and vote. But the most important message from all of this is that if you're in Georgia and you care about freedom and the rule of law and the military and you're opposed to socialism, if you're eligible to vote, you need to register. And if you're registered, you need to turn out and vote on January the 5th, because all of those issues are on the ballot. The left clearly understands it, and clearly they don't care what the rules are. They're going to try to get everybody to try to vote, and we need, by lawful means, to make sure that our people turn out and vote as well.
Yeah, and the left is very concerned, as you heard from that statement I just read, about, organizations scaring eligible Georgian voters. On the other hand, Karl Rove was a bit concerned that by having these fraud accusations about Atlanta, the presidential race, this race, that maybe Republicans will be skeptical and not turn out to vote. He writes the following in the Wall Street Journal: "The president's trip to Georgia on Saturday will be key. Rather than simply vent his grievances, Mr. Trump must remind supporters that no matter how frustrated they are with November's results, they must turn out for Mr. Perdue and Ms. Loeffler. Otherwise, a Democratic Senate would undo many of the president's accomplishments, advance a very liberal agenda, and spend years investigating the Trump administration's every action with endless subpoenas." What do you think of Karl Rove's take?
I think that's absolutely right, and to his credit, the president has been completely on message on that. Even though he's been very critical of the election results and the process in Georgia, he has steadfastly supported both Senators Perdue and Loeffler and made the case that they need to be elected and that the future of the country is at stake, and I expect he will do that. I do think our voters are very fired up. There's a lot of evidence of great enthusiasm out there. We're going to be filing a finance report later today that shows we raised $104 million between October 15th and November 23rd, and the most amazing part of that is that $71 million came in after Election Day. That was $71 million raised in just 19 days. And, you know, money isn't everything, but fundraising is an early leading indicator of enthusiasm. We're seeing it in our fundraising numbers. We're also seeing it in our polling numbers that Republican voters in Georgia understand that everything is at stake. The Trump legacy, the future of freedom, the future of socialism, and right now they seem very energized to vote, and I certainly hope that the president will communicate that as well.
And if anybody can fire up those voters, it's the president, and he'll be there Saturday, 7 p.m. in Atlanta. Good to see you. Stephen Law, thank you.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.